Have you ever seen a pro player bait the hell out of a teammate just to get a kill?
I'm in the... One more in the... That.
It's your time, brother. One more in behind the wall.
But then constantly you'll hear people complain about getting baited.
Okay, nice. Ethan gets a couple kills. Gets the info. Oh, the shock.
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, Hiko, bro, you gotta get in sight with him, man.
Nope, Hiko's just chilling.
Hiko, get in sight with him, man. He's fucked, man.
No, Hiko's got a drone, bro. He backed up and got a drone.
Oh!
He's actually just
Where the
fucked
bloody
back.
hell is Hiko?
Like, dude, you know they're both out sight off your dart and his dog, and you're just... You gotta hold one.
I got a drone, bro. I got a drone.
God.
Bruh.
So what is the deal with baiting?
Smoking out heaven. I'm stuck. Back head.
That's huge. Let's go. Wall the right side. Wall that right side so you can cross.
I already did.
All right, let's go, guys.
Broke that shit.
Sight and Raptors. Sight Raptors.
Get in there with them. Help them. Oh, no.
Last players.
And should you be doing it in your games?
Not giving too much away, but the body spotted and out and
Oh my god, Nate. Swing to swing him, bro.
bonus rank conversion will be the nail in the coffin, and it's up to Kesnet to put a stop to it with only 5 bullets left. What can he do?
Oh no.
Forwards. Heal online. Reload.
He avoided pie. Kesnet avoided pie.
Valen force forwards and Alpha wins the fight anyway.
Kesnet avoids pie, bro.
This point for G2.
Bro, Kesnet is so ass, bro. Oh my god. This guy has to be the most overrated player of all time, bro. This guy has to be the most overrated player. I'm not even kidding. Every year the same shit happens. Everyone's like, oh my god, Kesnet's insane. He's so good. Nah, bro. This guy just baits for kills, bro. I swear to god, this guy's the biggest baiter of all time. He plays with a bunch of shitters and then baits the shitters and gets pet and stats. And obviously looks good because he's just baiting them on Duelist.
Today we're here to settle that debate on baiting and talk about what a good bait is, what a bad bait is, and finally, when you should be looking to bait your teammates. Before we get into it though, if you guys are looking to improve your aim this act, boy have I got a treat for you. We've recently gone ahead and compiled a brand new Calm Aim course that consists of everything that you need to know about getting Radiant level aim, with tips provided to you by some of the best aimers in the world. While many players just do what feels natural to them while aiming, you may not realize that there is actually a proper aiming technique that you should be implementing during your matches to give you the most consistent aim possible. In this course, you'll be getting everything that you need to fill out your FPS skill set and get you climbing in no time or your money back. That's right, we actually guarantee that you'll climb 500 RR while using our service, otherwise you don't pay. So if you're looking to take your game seriously and climb the stack, or you just want to impress your friends a little bit in your 5 stacks, be sure to check out our brand new course using that discount link below. And other than that, let's dive into this baiting issue. So let's break down the 3 main reasons that you might want to bait somebody in Valorant. First, protecting important players and gathering information. When you have a Viper with their ultimate ready, you don't really want them dying before they can get that pit down. Same thing for like a Killjoy who needs to get in position to use their lockdown. These agents need to stay alive to get in position to use their ultimates, which means somebody is going to need to go in first. Having your Duelist entry isn't just about being aggressive, it's about protecting your utility heavy agents who can lock down the round. The second reason that you might bait is getting kills through trades. And yes, this is technically baiting, and it's exactly what you should be doing. Trades are a fundamental part of Valorant, and if your teammate dies and you're there to get that kill right after them, you have baited them, but you've also gotten value from it. This is basic Valorant strategy, and it should happen almost every single round. And the third reason that you might bait your teammates is setting up plays or pulling rotates. So this is where baiting becomes more team strategy. You might send 2 or 3 players to sell a fake on A while your team takes the spike towards B. Those players that are selling the fake are essentially getting used as bait. Sometimes they might even commit fully to make it more convincing. Now, if dying as the bait gets your team onto site and wins you the round, then that is value. The important part about being baited effectively though is that you want to get some sort of value out of it. Every bait should have a purpose, whether it's protecting somebody important, trading out kills, or setting up a bigger play. Now let's talk about the 3 types of baiting that you'll see in your matches. First up is no calm baiting. This is when somebody has a plan, normally one that involves somebody else dying, but they don't tell their teammates about it. This can be pretty frustrating, but it's actually really common in matchmaking. As you can imagine, the second type will be considered intentional baiting, and this is where you say something about it. A strategy is communicated between the baiter and the baitee so that they are both on the same page on what's happening. The key here is that the baiter normally needs to stay alive. If they die, all that pressure that's placed on the enemy team just disappears. They want to sell the bait, but they also don't want to be too obvious about it. If they're throwing in too many jump peeks or being too silly, enemies could smell something fishy. Remember that the best baits are subtle, but threatening enough to keep your opponent's attention. That way, they'll ignore the threat of the baitee just long enough for you to create that big play. Finally, the last type of baiting that we have is trading, and this is the most common type of baiting that should be happening every round. If you see your teammates fighting, you should be fighting too. This is actually one of the hardest things to do in the game effectively, and later on in this video, we are going to be showing you why most players just suck at trading. At its core though, trading teammates is essentially baiting. When your teammate crosses that first dangerous angle, they've done the hard part. It's very likely that you will die when exiting a smoke or executing onto site if they're the first one out, which is exactly why it's your job to bait them and make sure that you land that trade, otherwise their sacrifice was in vain. Let's look at what makes no-com baiting so frustrating though, but also why it sometimes makes sense. So no-com baiting happens way more often in your ranked games than you might realize. This is mainly because players are really bad at communicating in ranked and they just don't really say much. But honestly, sometimes it can be worth it to no-com bait if you see that your teammate is already baiting incredibly well without realizing it. Sometimes you'll look up at the map and your teammate is doing exactly what you need them to be doing, whether they know it or not. Especially with players who maybe aren't as confident, trying to get them to do something else might throw them off, and it could just be better to adapt around them instead. Take for example this clip when Nats watches his Viper peek out of garage. He just watches them do it and doesn't really say anything. In this case, there are a couple of reasons why Nats might bait the Viper here. First of all, Viper has a sheriff and Nats has a rifle. For this reason, Nats' life is far more valuable, so peeking first can be a bit more risky. They don't really know what's on the other side of garage at the start of this round, and by letting the Viper peek first, he's letting Viper gather all of that information at a much smaller risk to himself. The other thing too though is that this choke point in garage is rather small. If Nats tries to get close to trade out his Viper, it's possible that he just body blocks him and gets him killed. Finally, the Viper probably duels this a bit longer than he should anyway. After his team secures the numbers advantage and gets the info, they don't really need to keep fighting this. Not to say it's a mistake for Viper to keep fighting, but it's also not really necessary for Nats to go all out and try to push out of garage with him, since it's a relatively unfavorable fight anyway. For all these reasons, it kind of makes sense for Nats to bait the Viper here. It's just when you don't communicate it, it has the potential of tilting your teammates. If the Viper dies and sees that his teammate was watching him, it's possible they'll be upset. The issue isn't the bait itself, it's more so the lack of communication. Sometimes on your screen, a player looks like they're about to swing with you, but instead they just don't, and instead do something completely different. You could take for example this game I played with a few teammates over in the SkillCapped Discord the other day.
Reloading.
Oh, one ramp.
Care heaven. I want anybody taking the heaven fights if you have a classic.
One ramp.
One spawn. Oh my god, I can't believe I killed him. I'm playing on A site in a relatively exposed position towards main. When I glanced up at the map, I saw that my Brimstone was A main, so I figured that he had that covered, but he actually walks back into sewers. You can see I'm a bit caught off guard when I'm getting peeked from main because of this, and don't really realize that he actually was intending to play lineups, not hold A main. This is a massive issue that a lot of people have when they're playing these lineup-centered agents, is that in order to play their lineup, they actually end up baiting their entire team. Instead, what he could have done in this scenario is held a passive position towards main and just kept them busy without committing to a full fight. This would not only help me know that we're getting pushed for A main, but it would also give me more cover to either fight with him or reposition towards safety. As you can imagine, these moments can be infuriating if you're tilted already. In situations like this, people are a lot less likely to get annoyed if you say something like, hey, I'm playing lineups, I'm not watching A main. That being said, sometimes, especially in lower elos, a teammate may already be doing something that makes them the perfect bait, so in these cases, it might be worth it to bait them first and ask for forgiveness later. Now, as you might guess, intentional baiting is when you actually communicate your plan with your teammate. This type of bait has two moving parts, but most of the work falls on the baiter. When a bait is sold perfectly, all the baitee really needs to do is pick up those kills. Take for example this clip from Nats in the same game later on.
Let me bait for you.
Going back.
Cover going out.
Oh, bro, one behind me.
His Omen is crouched in a smoke, and Nats calls out, "Bait me, Omen," before walking out into mid. Nats is looking to make a play by pushing the smoke, but more importantly, he's looking to get their opponents to let down their guard a bit. If they see Nats push the smoke and die, they might think that garage is clear and try to push up. Sure enough, that's exactly what happens, and Omen picks up a practically free kill. This doesn't look so great though, so let's talk about what went wrong. Although Nats was successful in getting the Omen a kill, keep in mind there are two moving parts to this bait. There's the baiter and there's the baitee, and they just traded 2 for 1, which obviously isn't great. What could have worked a little bit better is if Nats successfully landed this kill onto the Killjoy, or or if Omen was able to get 2 off of his death. While risky baits like this can work effectively, we do want to warn you about the secret rule that often gets overlooked when it comes to baits. Generally, if you are the bait, it's really important that you don't die. There's a tricky balance. You want to sell the bait enough so that the enemies will let their guard down, but you don't want to overcommit and get yourself killed, otherwise it's too easy to deal with the baitee. In this case, after Nats dies, sure Omen gets a kill, but they are easily able to trade him out. There's definitely a bit of an art form to being the bait. You want to be annoying enough to pull your opponent's attention without getting yourself killed, but you also need to convince them that you're a threat, otherwise good players might smell something fishy. Let's take a look at a classic example from Haven A Long. One player walks across long while their teammate shoots a Sova dart or throws in a jump spot. The jump spot tells the enemies, hey, I'm still here. And shooting the dart lets your teammate tuck safely. But here's the catch. Good players will probably guess that something's up after they see that the dart gets shot. That's why it can be helpful to combine it with a flash when the enemies push up. The baiter's role is crucial here. Without them, the corner is getting 100% cleared every single time. Why? Because enemies will just go through their normal clearing routine. The baiter's job is to disrupt that routine. This is especially important for playing one and dones, spots that are only good for 1 kill. These positions are usually awful for defenders because they get traded out immediately. But you pair these with a good bait and now you're cooking. Because these spots are normally weak, enemies will easily overlook them if they get distracted. That's when your bait turns a normally weak position into a power play. Finally, potentially the most important type of baiting, which is actually just trading. Trading, despite what you might immediately think, is essentially just baiting, and it should happen pretty much every single round. People comment on these types of videos, SkillCapped just wants us to bait, and yes, we actually do. After watching hundreds of VOD reviews, trading is consistently one of the biggest issues holding players back. Let's look at some common scenarios where trades fail. Take a look at this clip where our chamber watches his gecko push out onto site alone with Spike.
Somebody's there.
Enemy spotted A.
Sure, he gets separated by the Raze's paint shells, but there's no attempt afterwards to even try and trade at all. It's almost like he doesn't even realize this just happened. Once those paint shells fade, helping Gecko should be his #1 priority. Gecko has done all of the hard work. He's basically a drone for his team at this point. But if you don't step up to trade, all that space that he's created is wasted. Not only that, but immediately afterwards, 2 more teammates die around our chamber, and he hasn't really committed to a single gunfight at this point. He could have shot the Gecko blind for his teammate in heaven, or at least attempted to trade before it landed, but instead he just hides. This sucks. Here's another example, this time a little lower rank.
Oh. Reyna killed him. Our carrier's dead. Enemy spike down A. Flash out. Last player standing.
Our breach peeks the angle, takes a fight, and then immediately jumps away with his knife. Then 2 teammates peek and die while he's jumping around and not really paying attention at all. Sure, he peeked the angle first, but he was the one who ended up baiting. If your teammates are fighting, that is your cue to fight with them. They've already done the hardest part, being the first to cross that angle. Now it's just your job to land the kill with them. Finally, here's a third example. As you watch our Sova droning while his Reyna is on site, sure he lands a tag, but that doesn't change the fact that his Reyna is alone. She needs help, and both Sova and Killjoy are just watching her. At the very least, Sova could throw in his ult here and try to cause a little bit of chaos, but he just fires some shock darts from afar, which really aren't going to do anything. If you see your teammate alone on site, you need to get out there and help them. This is one of the biggest red flags that I want to instill in all players if possible. And if you struggle with this sort of thing, then let me tell you, we can help you out today and get you back on track and ranking up. As mentioned with our brand new Calm Aim course, we will teach you everything that you need to know about how aiming has developed over the last 10 years to get you fragging in no time. We'll teach you the established proper technique that aim pros use to maximize their accuracy and with far less. Aiming can feel really hard sometimes, and we get that, but we'll help make it stupid simple and get you ranking up in no time or your money back. Don't forget, site subscribers also get direct access to our coaches in Discord so that you can get personalized feedback just for you. Nobody understands how to climb out of low elo more than us, so if you're looking to rank up, be sure to check out SkillCapped using that link below. And other than that, my name's Casey, and I'll catch you in the next one.